Monday, the 17th of February, we see the sun and the moon meeting in a trine in void of course. Void of course aspects are when the planets are on, say, the cusp of two zodiac signs. So they're uninfluenced by a zodiac sign. They stand in their power alone. This happens right before the planetary bodies are shifting into new zodiac signs. We then see the moon shift into Scorpio, and tomorrow on Tuesday, we're going to see the sun shift into Pisces for Pisces season. The moon is at its furthest point from the Earth at this time, and it's going to form a square with Pluto in Aquarius. So we're seeing this connection of the moon, our inner self, and the sun, our outer self, connecting in a trine. Now, trines are energies of unison. They're energies of symbiosis, bringing things together, this connection, this unification of energies that is really very healing. Triangles are a very powerful symbol. And they are a point of Trinity. They're a point of three aspects coming together to allow a connection and sort of a portal of energy that is in alignment and in unity with each other. So this trine between the moon and the sun, both standing in void of course, ready to move into new zodiac signs, means that they are untainted by zodiac influence, meaning that they are standing in their power alone. So this connection of our inner self and our outer self is bringing them into alignment as we move towards the waning half of the moon, where these two will come into tension and conflict as they create a square. So this is a meeting of the inner and outer sources of our being that is really going to direct us into this movement of integration, allowing us to integrate our inner and our outer so that they can be working together as we move forward towards conflict, towards the turning of a corner, towards the seeing of two sides of the story. As we talked about yesterday with the square aspect between the moon and Mars, square aspects are when two planetary bodies come at each other from a different angle, and they are moments of tension because we need to look at both sides of the story and we need to make a decision. Decisions are traditionally seen as being difficult because we have a choice to make, and from that choice we have actions to take. So before we need to take the actions between the sun and the moon, our inner and outer self in conflict, we have this harmonizing alignment of the moon and the sun starting our day today. This is really going to put us in this energy of forward movement that is working from both aspects of our being. As the day progresses, we are going to see the moon move into the zodiac sign of Scorpio, the 8th sign of the zodiac, and the fixed water sign. Water signs are connected to our emotions, so this is aligning well with the moon, which is connected to our emotions and our feelings. But Scorpio has a depth to this connection. It is the deeper emotions that fix us in our feelings. Fixed signs are energies of grounding things into being. They're the energies of kind of routines and patterns that allow us to kind of be this core energy. So Scorpio, as the fixed water sign, is kind of looking at our fixed emotions, the emotions that we kind of hold as this inner source of being, as this core of our emotions. And it is a really deep sign. It is about digging deep into our emotional waters to investigate where our feelings are coming from, looking at the core or the root of those feelings, the root of where those feelings are coming from. So this shift of the moon into Scorpio is really going to be bringing us into this energy of wanting to deepen our relationships, bringing an intensity to the moon's energy, an intensity to our inner knowing, an intensity to our intuition, to our emotions, that are really going to allow us to look at things from a different perspective. A different perspective that maybe we haven't seen, and a perspective that is deep within us, allowing us to look at the fixed emotions and feelings that we hold and how those are reflected in our inner world. Now, this moon in Scorpio is at its furthest point from the Earth in its annual cycle, its 28-day cycle. So it has the least amount of hold and influence on us as it is at its furthest point from our physical location here on Earth. While in this position, it's going to be making a square aspect with the planet Pluto. Pluto is the planet of death, transformation, and rebirth. So it is a representation of those cycles of death and rebirth, the cycles of the phoenix, the cycles of us birthing ourselves anew. Cyclic energy based on transformation, change, metamorphosis, and regeneration. It is our power to change and renew. It is our power to renew from total destruction, to create something anew, to rebirth ourselves again and again and again. It is continuous change. Change is the only constant we hold. And Pluto being the furthest planet from us, it holds in this cycle of continuality, kind of encompassing the whole of our planetary system within the universe as we know it. So when we look at Pluto, we're looking at where we put our energies in change, how we give energy to change, how we see change, how we make change, how change deeply affects us, and how we deal with change. It is the power that we hold and exert, and how we relate to these never-ending cycles of rebirth, death, continuous change, destruction, construction, renewal, and growth. And really, it's a sign of resilience. Now, Pluto is ruled by Scorpio. So again, we have two similar energies across the bridge of our aspect, which helps to bring these energies together. It helps create this commonality. Pluto has shifted into Aquarius, where it will stay for 40 years. I believe it's till like 2043 or something. Yes, it will be staying in Aquarius until March 2043. So this energy of Pluto in the zodiac sign of Aquarius is going to be something that we are going to be working with for the next 20 years. Aquarius is the 11th sign of the zodiac, and it is the fixed air sign. Air signs are connected to our mind, the way that our mind works, the way that our ideas flow, how we take our knowledge and pour it into being. The archetype of Aquarius is the water bearer, the vessel of knowledge, the chalice of eternal wealth, eternal youth, eternal knowledge, the way that we pour into things. It is the energy of collaboration and how we work with others to bring things into being, and how we fix our mental pathways with the continuous knowledge that we learn, the wisdom that we hold, how we adapt and change the mind to these new patterns of thinking, and how our patterns of thinking influence the knowledge that we hold. So while Pluto is in Aquarius, we have this very flowing energy of change, this very mental energy of change, allowing us to see how our thoughts influence our rebirth, how our thoughts influence change, and how the knowledge that we hold is really what guides us into the new transitions of ourself, how we transform and change continuously. So this Square aspect of the moon, our inner self, with Pluto, the planet of change and renewal, is really guiding us to look at how we renew our emotional selves, how we learn about our emotions, we learn about our reactions, and how those emotions, feelings, and reactions then influence our inner feeling, and how we change in the wisdom and knowledge that we hold, allowing us to see both sides of the square, both sides of the story. So looking at our inner emotional self and looking at our fixed changing ideas, the ways that we rebirth our mind, and how the changes in our mind influence our feelings, and how the changes in our feelings and how we understand them change how our mind work, and allowing us to see the commonality between these two and where we can make choices and decisions that allow us to turn the corner and move past tension and challenge and move into change. Allowing us to see how changing what we understand changes how we feel, and how understanding our feelings and that deeper sense of self influences the way that we think, and therefore the way that we make changes in how we turn up and the power that we hold within ourself. A beautiful, beautiful, beautiful square aspect that is going to ask you, how can I change the way I feel? How can I change the way that I look at my emotional responses and how those play on my inner contentment, my inner knowing? And how my inner knowing and my inner feelings influence the wisdom that I have and my ability to see how I am walking through cycles, and how the decisions that I make are continuing cycles or breaking cycles. Because Pluto is all about making and breaking those cycles. And until we can see those cycles, we can't make change. But if we don't understand our inner knowing, and we don't understand and look at the depths of our emotional self and the ways that we are fixed in our being, we're not going to see how we are continuing the same cycle, and we're not going to get out of those cycles or continue the cycles that benefit our growth until we can understand those aspects of our being. And from that understanding is our wisdom. It allows us to fill our vessel of wisdom and knowledge that we pour into life. This is the energy of pouring into life, pouring our energy into life, showing up in our life from who we are, for we each hold our own individual knowledge, our own individual understanding, and by sharing those things, we help others to see their value and their knowledge, and how we all influence each other, how we all grow from each other and from the ways that we interact. So use this square to investigate where within your emotional self you're deceiving yourself and you need to change. Look at where your knowledge that you hold and the cycles you have moved through and the transformations you have made, and how that influences the way you're feeling. Make a decision today to make one change that will benefit yourself. For square aspects, ask us to make a decision, and from that decision, to take the actions that will bring change. Allow yourself to pour your knowledge into your being. Allow yourself to rebirth yourself, to change, to make the cycle, to change the cycles, to move forward. And allow yourself to see that your emotions are a very valid part of who you are and influence the wisdom that you hold within.